Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave. Let's just start right with the shirt. Let's go into the weigh station.
The weigh station. It's a sign that most truck drivers know that it's time to pull over. It's time to get in there and see the inspection, get your truck weighed, and get moving on. But really, this signifies a whole lot more than just the sign. It also demonstrates the rules that you must face out there on the road each and every day. Make sure before you leave that if you are heavy, that you scale your load correctly. You don't want to go in there with an incorrect scale. I know it's not a violation on your CSA score. However, it is a fine and can get very hefty in the pocketbook on something so simple as pulling in and scaling your truck out. I mean, just go in, weigh it, make sure you're legal. Also, it's really important to know the routes that you're going with the weight that you have. I mean, we don't talk about that a lot. We don't discuss it a lot on what you should do and how you should apply it and how to balance your truck very much. But I'll tell you what, it's kind of a trick to get it done. But once you do get it done, you're running legal out there because you want to make sure the right weight's on the right axle out there on the road.
Well, let's just talk about it. You said we don't talk about it much, so let's not run from it. Let's talk about it, Drive Safe Dave. First of all, you mentioned that you got to get ready to stop. You don't necessarily have to stop at a weigh station, right?
If they are closed, you don't have to stop.
Okay.
Or if they signal you to pass, you don't have to.
Green light, you don't have to stop. More times than not, I think, let's face it, in the day, I bet you more trucks go through it than have to stop.
Yeah, it just depends, and it depends on and everybody out there knows it depends on that scale house out there. There are some that never let you. Banning, it's always on. You're always rolling into banning. But I mean, it just depends on the scale house a lot of the times, a lot of where it is and the regions that you're at. I do know that like Oklahoma's built up the new scale houses. They're on a whole lot more. Kansas is almost always a turn in. You know, when you're going north on the turnpike, it's almost always a pull in. As everyone knows, there's scale houses out there in the country that require you to come in almost every single time. But you got to genuinely be prepared. And there's a lot it'd be interesting to talk to drivers to know and to understand that there are different rules out there for axle weights and weight limits and how they can be applied. We've always used the 12, 34, 34 rule, but that's not really...
Well, tell us what that is. Don't assume everybody knows what that is. What does that mean, Drive Safe Dave?
12, 34, 34 is a guideline that we use to make sure that our axle limits are correct and how we scale our load. That's 12,000 pounds on the steer axle, 34,000 pounds on the tandem axles, and then our drive axles, and then 34,000 pounds on the tandem axles. You want to make sure that you scale that out. That is a good guideline. However, the rules are set, though, that if the axles allow for a greater weight limit, sometimes on the steers, you have to have your axle rating, which is on the inside door panel, has to be above 12,000 pounds. It can. A lot of them are at 13.2. But just in case you need to know, you need to look at your tires and verify that their weight rating also is in congruence with your axle weight. So you also have to have your tire weight and your axle weight so that you can. So you could technically run 13.2 if both your tire rating and your axle rating was on the steer axle. So there's different rules, and that is a federal rule, and that applies across the country. You just need to understand and know a little bit more about your axle rating.
So how do you, if you get too much weight on an axle, what do? You just turn back around? Do you throw the flag and you not move? What do you do at that point, Drive Safe?
Well, let's talk about it. You know, if you are overweight on an axle, it's really important to understand the difference between axle weights and gross weight. If you are well over your gross weight, then there's not really a lot you can do to offset that between your axles.
Burn the fuel? What is that? I hear that. But just sit there and idle that fuel away.
No, don't do that. But there are ways in which you can either slide your tandems on your trailer by moving the weight on the trailer forward or backward to allow for a weight distribution change on either your drive axles or your trailer axles. There is also, you can move your fifth wheel plate, which will allow you to change your weight distribution on your drive axles and or your steer axles. So there are many ways in which you can change the weight distribution and the weight requirement that is necessary in order to be legal.
All right, so aside from getting a fine, getting a ticket, blah, 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 why from a safety, why does it matter?
It matters a lot.
Why does it matter?
Well, first of all, axle ratings are important because they allow for the best weight or the maximum weight that they can pull. You don't want a failure in your axle system. Also, tire ratings. You can blow tires, wear tires, or damage tires if you put too much weight on them. So you're actually diminishing your ability to be safe out there on the road with the equipment, and it's a lot of, you're basically hauling a 10-pound weight in a 5-pound sack. At some point, it's going to break, right? And you don't want it to break out there on the road, and you don't want it to break while you're driving down the road, and you don't want problems to occur while you're out there. And also, you can damage the equipment that you have, whatever it is, whether it be the tires or anything like that.
And we see it now, especially when, matter of fact, when you come into Oklahoma now, there's the scales inside on the road, right? When you're driving up through the weigh scale or the weigh station, can't they weigh you? Like as you're driving, you don't have to stop anymore. Is that true or false?
Well, they have an idea of what your weight is. They will pull you in to get you a good weight.
How do they know? What is that idea? How do they know?
Well, I can just tell you, it doesn't matter whether you're doing
tires. That tire looks a little low there, Junior. Let's pull them in.
Believe it or not, gravity is a constant, a number. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter if you're going 60 or if you're going 0. The weight on the tires is going to be relatively the same. You don't raise up just because you're going 60. You still weigh.
I'm asking a question. How do they know that you're overweight? How do they have an idea? They flip the coin? How do they know?
Because electronically they can digitally scale your weight as you roll across and measure your 3 axles. Your 5 axles, they can do that really quickly now, and they can get the computer to either kick you in or not, or let you roll by.
All right, so I'm serious now. So how are they doing that electronic? You're telling me there's no weights, and they're just somehow they have laser beams that are beaming at you saying that you're overweight?
They have. They have different ways in which they do it. Some of them actually have weights out there on the road. They can measure that. Some of them also.
You acted like when I said that I was absolutely crazy.
No, not crazy. No.
I would say there's one. So Sir Rick was right about that.
Yeah.
What other way can they do that?
They can measure the tires. They can also see if tires are overheating. But that doesn't necessarily always mean the truck's overweight. It can also mean that the tire is underinflated or overinflated. Gotcha. So there are several reasons why a tire might be getting hot.
So all right. So. Thank you for that. That's the Weigh Station Drive Safe Dave there. Drive Safe Dave, we talked a little bit. This was last week, the week before, the month before. I don't know how long it's been now. However long the Olympics has been over, right? You and Buckle Up Bob, I swear, are the only 2 people that watch that. You're acting, you're not watching the Olympics? It had the worst ratings in the history. And let me tell you what's even funnier. It was down like 42% less than the last Olympics, 2018.
Agreed.
And here's the important thing. In 2018, that was the worst rated Winter Olympics in the history. Yep. Nobody watched. Just cut it out. Just go to a Game Boy, play it. You know what? Norway's going to win. Just go. You can probably take the medal count and just kind of guess what it's going to be for the next Olympics.
Yeah, I don't know what the loss in the appreciation of what the Olympics has been, but the stories are. I think they developed too much into the stories as they used to. You know how they. Now it was always about the story about the person. They
just put too much. There's a lot of stuff that's not even truly an Olympic sport. I don't think.
The curling,
for example.
Agreed. Right? Bob said that's his favorite.
Yeah,
how's that Olympic?
I'm just thinking, there's so much stuff in there and that's why the summer just is a little bit more exciting. The skiing, I get. Those are some tough. Those are tough, right? Yeah. Other than that, nothing. You need
hockey?
to throw. No hockey. They're all playing in the NHL anyway. They're not leaving the NHL to go play for the country. A few of them do, but the majority of them stick to the NHL where they're playing. So nobody's watching that. Drive Safe Dave overseas still. We'll keep it over there for a second. What's going on in Russia? I saw that your president's moving folks in there, moving more people into Ukraine, causing a...
So, as predicted by Drive Safe Dave here on the show, immediately following the Olympics, Putin, within hours was on the TV giving his rant for over an hour on his reasons why he is going to move forward into the Ukraine. Some of it was alarming what he said.
Like what?
Citing back that all of the territory that Russia had from before 1919 needs it back, and it is hers to take. which is very scary in the idea that there are many countries that were there prior to the fall of not the Soviet Union, but prior to the fall of the czars. So we're going way back in history, and he's citing really unreal reasons why he can move in. He also declared that he did not recognize the government of the Ukraine, that territory was actually Russia. So he moved in as a peacekeeping mission, troops into the separatist areas. And basically what he's done, Rick, is he's moved his forward fighting element. Sir Rick, he's moved his forward attack element in closer to the Ukrainian forces by doing that. He's already and he's moved across the rivers that separate the two. He's moved in willingly and set up these troops. I'll tell you, watching the UN yesterday in the emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, almost every single country condemned the actions of Putin and what was being going on. And also, I'll tell you, it was very exciting on C-SPAN yesterday. I watched it for almost 3 hours as every country talked diligently to the president to de-escalate tensions in the regions and remove his troops from the secured and borders of the Ukraine. I'm telling you right now, this is going to get ugly.
Yeah, and I'll just jump this in real quick. C-SPAN probably yesterday had higher ratings than the Olympics had during the entire time. But we did have some response, right? Germany halts their the oil, the gas line or whatever, the oil on that, and then the Ukrainian president severs the political ties with Russia. Yep. And I'm thinking, seriously? I mean, how hadn't that already happened? Yeah. And he does. So he does that. So here it is. So the Ukrainian president said he's considering severing the diplomatic relations with Russia in response to this, and he's calling on the West to immediately punish Russia right now with sanctions. Drive Safe Dave, thoughts on that? Do you punish the kid before he takes the cookie?
He's already taken some of the cookie. He's taken the first bite out of the cookie. So yeah, it's time to get into trouble, and I do believe
Drive Safe Dave calling for sanctions. Are you hearing us?
Yeah, and I personally believe that in order to support the NATO alliance that is in some of these countries that he's calling Russian territory are within the NATO alliance. So I would think that our president would mobilize elements of either the 101st and 82nd Airborne and bolster those divisions that are there. I will see that, let me just tell you, if you look at it, there is a storm coming, whether it be a hurricane or a meteor or war. You're going to have a large refugee. A lot of people are going to flee this storm that is rising. We're going to have a refugee problem. We're going to have a problem with people fleeing the conflict in that region, and we're going to need people on the ground to help supplement the support for those individuals because I see millions moving west away from the conflict.
Yeah, I believe March 1st is the presidential State of the Union. And, the thoughts and the prayers concern are, what are we going to be talking about this? Does this invasion happen before March the 1st?
I anticipate within the next few days.
Well, gotcha. Hey, we'll be right back with more BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe. I do have an idea on how to bolster those Olympic things. I know it's boxing is a summertime thing, but did you see the basketball? You see Coach Juwan Howard from Michigan getting a little boxing tiff with the assistant coach.
What was that? Was that a reach over cheap shot? Did you
know what? So I guess the coach had, the assistant coach had kind of grabbed his arm to kind of talk to him, and it didn't go over well. Juwan reaches over, kind of punches, but it just starts a big old fight, big old melee within the game. And you know what? Jawan's suspended for the rest of the season.
Wow.
They were saying minimum 5 games. I don't know. I don't think Michigan I don't know how Michigan's doing anyway if they make it to the playoffs or not NCAA tournament. But what are your thoughts on that? Keep in mind, this is a head coach, for any kind of college team, any kind of high school team. Thoughts on what happened there, Drive Safe?
I losing your cool. I understand passion for it, but you got to play. I mean, you're a leading example for those young men out there on the field, out there on the court, or however. You can't do that. You can't lose control and resort to violence out there on a court in which you're there for a fair play of game. There can't be a threat of violence. There can't be a fear of violence in the game, right? You can't be. And I really don't.
I don't know about that. I mean, you can't help that you strike fear in somebody else. Well, you boo and you scare them. You got to get kicked out of the game.
Okay. So I beat up the last coach, so I can beat you up. I think okay. So I don't think that's right.
So should he be kicked out of the? Should he not ever be able to coach again? Was 5 games enough? Drive Safe, Dave?
No.
How many games should it have been?
I think he should have to go find another job somewhere else.
Ooh, so one mistake, right? Well, you make a mistake and you just reached over. You make a mistake. You're done.
I guess if you just go out and shoot somebody, do you not go to jail? Hey, it's okay.
So here we go.
One time.
You realize that every crime that one's a crime and one may not be. Killing somebody's not the same thing.
Assault and battery. When did that not be a crime?
Thing?
When is assault and battery? That was a
boxing. What if you're in a boxing?
Okay, first of all, boxing is set in a ring, and it is a sport in which both engage in combat.
So you're saying he should be treated the same as somebody that went out and shot somebody?
I didn't say that.
I said it. I used it as
isn't dueling still legal?
Dueling is not legal. Hasn't been legal since like 1780.
I wish politicians would do it.
Well, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. Then we wouldn't have any. Rather, they'd all be one shot. They'd be gone.
No, half of them
only waste one bullet. That's all.
I just wanted your opinion on that, Drive Safe. I'm kind of stuck in that. You've seen, the Bobby Knights. They've lasted for many years, and that's you had Coach Greg Marshall from the Wichita State Shockers that ended up losing, and he lost. I mean, he hasn't been hired yet. He was like top 10, paid coach in the country, $3 million a year, had a private jet. Finally, it comes out that he had players just quitting, switching teams on. Still had a good team, but ended up choking everybody. I mean, you can't choke everybody.
Where is it okay that you can hit them in the face, but you can't choke them? I mean, I just want to know where is the good line there?
He was doing it to the players. This is coach to coach. This is armor. We're going into battle.
We're
going into battle, Drive Safe Dave. And you think, so is it, where do you draw the line? Is it you? I mean, if you make any mistake, should you just be done?
Oh, I don't
think. Have you ever made a mistake at what you do?
Absolutely.
Why do you still have a job?
I don't, but I'm not hitting people in the face.
So aside from hitting, there's no reason why else you should lose your job?
Do you understand the difference between violence and tripping and falling? I mean, you get that, right?
I'm asking if so.
Ooh, Dave, you didn't get a set of pencils today. Well, I mean, I get it. There's a difference between.
There we go. This is a dark side of Drive Safe. He goes and uses these things. You know what? I shouldn't. Just because you make mistakes, you don't go into work or you don't do your job right. It doesn't give it. You didn't hit anybody.
You didn't.
It could be worse.
Okay, first of all,
it could be worse.
Is one a crime and one not a crime?
I'm not asking.
Is assault and battery a crime in most states?
I would assume so.
Okay, then if you reach out and strike somebody in the face, does that consider assault and battery?
He should be in jail.
I think charges might be filed.
It could be filed. You're absolutely right.
I mean, if the guy chooses not to,
would you have charged? Would you?
Probably not.
Why?
Because it's two dudes scrapping in a
Yeah, there you go. The heat of the battle. That's what happened.
I get it. All
right, here we go. Drive Safe, Dave. So we talked about presidential, the presidential State of the Union coming up on March 1st. Drive Safe, Dave. And here you go. Before you answer, producer, how many members of Congress are there? Shush. Or else come across his desk.
Are there like 235?
What do you got?
445.
535? Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah, the Senate too.
Oh yeah. Once again,
Senate.
Sir Rick
The
is
Senate.
right.
I'm sorry, the Senate. There's
And
that.
I don't even claim to know anything
Oh,
about this.
you're including
And
the Senate. I thought you were talking about the.
No, the House of Representatives. That's what I can. And how did you get 235? There's.
See how you
Well,
put
see, it was
back in here?
535, and I probably have dyslexia,
Come on.
so I just.
I'll
saw
tell you
the
what.
5.
It's and that's the exact same number
So
of
you see
electoral
fives as
votes.
twos?
And that's the exact same
Yeah.
number of electoral votes.
All right, gotcha. So here we go. So they, for the first time, they're going to be or the first time, and they are all allowed to go back for the presidential State of the Union. No guests will be allowed. They
Okay.
must wear the KN95 or the N95 masks. And I guess in essence, it seats like 1,050, 1,100 people sit in one chair apart from each other. They'll walk in with a waterless hand cleaner, and they must avoid physical contact with other people.
No shaking hands.
I mean, those
No
are
shaking
Well, hold on a
hands?
second. That would be considered other people, I'm thinking.
Yeah, but have you? Okay, so
well,
let's look
especially
back.
after Juwan Howard. I mean, you don't know if they're going to reach out and strike you. I can't
Okay.
believe there hadn't been fights over there. But anyway, no physical contact. And I'm just thinking, you know what? They clap enough all freaking day that there's probably stuff flying all over. What difference does it make if you touch somebody?
Yeah, there's a difference.
Is there a difference?
But that's weird because you remember you look back every time they have a State of the Union, the president can't make it down the aisle without shaking 10,000
Oh, yeah,
hands.
no doubt.
And then walking to the justices that'll be up the front, always shakes the hands of the justices that are there, and also the Joint Chiefs of Staff is there. So no guests. So are the Joint Chiefs going to be there?
Are they part of the 535?
No.
Then no guests.
Wow,
No means no.
No
Drive Safe Day.
justices.
I know this is weird for you, but
No
no
Supreme
means
Court
no.
justices.
It says 535 members will be able there, and that's it. No guests. So if they're not if they were considered guests, not able to attend. That's what I see. And again, I don't know. I'm not a big polyp. That's your thing, but you didn't get the 535 right, so not sure if you are that guy anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe that moves over to Sir Rick.
I thought we were talking about the House because that's where the
So seriously, I mean, when you think about that, Dave,
yeah.
I mean, couldn't that just be cut in half? I mean, the presidential State of the Union, the timeline. I mean, how much time is done with the clapping? As you see, it's out of control.
No, there's usually a wager in Vegas on how much time over and under on the time on.
Oh,
there's a bet in Vegas.
I like it.
There's a bet in Vegas on the over and under on the amount of time that each State of the Union address will have every year.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but just my gut instinct says it's going to be under this year.
You think it'll be under?
I think it'll be under this year.
I
don't think a lot of people are real happy. I don't think there's a lot to clap about right now. COVID cases are down.
They are down.
Yeah, I haven't heard you talk about it anymore. But what, is it over then? Drive Safe Day?
There's still people dying. It's still but we're moving more towards the endemic phase than we are the pandemic phase.
Gotcha.
Which endemic phase. So I'm just saying
It's weird to think that just 3 weeks ago was at its worst level ever.
I didn't say worst level ever. I just said it was
quote
intense.
Unquote. Hey, listen, we'll be back to you. We're going to talk a little bit about safety. We have some weather coming up. We're going to have to just talk a little bit about that before Double Check Dale comes back in at the 7:30 mark with a real in-depth look at it. We'll be back to you in 60 seconds with more BCB Live. Welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave. As we move into the end of February, we're starting to see that volume kind of decrease a little bit from where it was at the beginning of January and even the beginning of February. We see it, and it's still not weak, but it's definitely coming down. We look at the next slide. We'll see how it crosses over compared to last year, and that last year's in the green. We look at that green, we see it starting to spike up last year, and it's kind of mellowing down a little bit right now. Drive safe. I don't know if I don't think volume is crazy low, and if you guys are worried about that, it's not shrinking or anything. All right, it's still a lot of freight going out there. Again, when you look at those bottom lines there, it's 9,000, 10,000 shipments normally. We're killing it right now, over 4,000 shipments higher than what we've ever been. There continues to be a lot of freight waiting outside the ports. Not just California seeing it, but you see the ports on the eastern coast now also falling behind a little by little. And we look at that next slide, producer. We're going to see what it looks like, when we kind of look at the go forward on it. This is the reefer side, Dave, and this was kind of interesting to me. So here we are, reefers are coming down, and we looked at last year. They really spiked up a lot heavier than last year. That right there in the purple, that's last year's reefer freight.
Oh, wow.
Considerably higher than it is right now. Now, I will say that as we look at the freight, I don't think January, February, March are big reefer years, right? Not a lot of produce coming out, right now during the first part of the year. But maybe it's some of that chicken, maybe it's some of that poultry that we've had problems with, the price hikes on it. And I saw they're back, and they're going to court again for price fixing on the chicken. Did you see that?
Yes, I
did. Up in
did.
Colorado, they're going back. Maybe that's why the reefer, the volume on the reefer side is also down. Producer, go to the next slide. And this right here is that outbound tender rejections. Look at the difference in that. Now, this is pretty considerable to me when you look at, this is going back a year ago, and how that rejections continue to come down. I do think as shippers, begin to tender out more freight, a little bit more predictive, it allows the carriers an opportunity to accept that freight. And Dave, no matter what, we see the volume down just a tad. It's still a ton of freight, right? And the rejections are still very high. But eventually, what that's going to talk to is a lowering of that spot market price. Now, we don't see it today. That spot market rate today continues to hang in that, it's still high. It's higher than it was a year ago. But when the rejections continue to fall down like they are, well, guess what? That pricing's also going to come down. I still think right now it's more shock value. People aren't aware of their own market as a trucking company, as a brokerage company, as a shipper. You've got to realize that your volume is coming down a little bit. Rejections are coming down a little bit. You can get more aggressive on that pricing on the spot market side. You can challenge the carrier if you're a broker to a lower rate, because there's not as much freight out there today as there was last week or the week before. And when there's not as much freight out there as there was, guess what? You can ask for less. It's just scary.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, and as you talk about it, do you think any of this, the little bit downward trend, do you think any of that has to do with the fact that there is a huge delay and a slowing of the return on, like, taxes, right? The IRS has released reports again and again that they're not releasing large amounts of refunds like they were in a timely manner. There's huge delays. And normally we see this swift pickup when people start getting that extra money, right? And then they go out, and what is the first thing they do when they get a huge check from the IRS?
I guess the question on that would be, we see the spike last year on that. Were we giving away money during this time last year? Was there still money being given away, producer? Do you know? Did we have our hands out giving out? And as he looks that up, the last thing we saw was the graphs on what kind of freight's being rejected right now. And if you're a shipper, if you're a carrier, the one thing we continue to see, and that's there in the purple, is that tweener freight, right? That's that freight that's 350 miles. It's not taking my full day. That freight's getting rejected because you can't maximize that productivity. You're probably not going to maximize the revenue on the same truck. That long haul freight continues to hang out there in that 18% rejection rate, about the normal side of it. But it goes to show those customers, those shippers, the brokers, if you have that tweener freight. And again, I'm talking about those lanes that are 350, 400 miles in that range right there. That's a tougher sell in general than the longer haul freight, because the driver's typically paid by miles. can't get their miles in the course of that day.
Yeah, and then you've got that shock value. Hey, I need to do it for an extra $1 per mile because you're going to try to make that up, and you get that. They're like, oh no, I'm not paying that much per mile on a load, and that's what you're talking about in that tweener.
For sure, on that. Producer, you see on that? Did we? You recall?
No, I couldn't find any verifiable information, but I do believe checks were still going out till March. I can tell you the amount.
It seems like we were still giving away money last year. We as a country was giving it away, whether it was child tax credits or you have 18 kids. Congratulations, here's some more money. That kind of money was given away. Probably a good point, Dave. We need to look at that to see did that have an effect on what happened last year versus this year, kind of going down. Not only are we not giving out that money anymore, now we're just not even giving back your money.
Yeah, you're not. The IRS has said, hey, expect long delays. You may get your refund check July. So, normally people get them really quickly.
You know what? When you don't get paid from somebody, it's usually a sign that something's not going right. And even when it's, yes, you're in the United States, something's wrong when we're using, once again, COVID as an excuse for not paying you your money. But don't trust me, they will pay you that 1.3% interest rate. You'll get that back.
And I will attest, after 1 year, they will charge you taxes on that interest that they pay you. They are awesome about that. They send you a form that said, hey, by the way, you owe this on your
phrase it pays time, drive safe.
All right, I'm just about there. Let's get the producer lined up and get started. Are y'all ready? Here we go.
Ready. Hit it.
We give you a phrase and make it pay, so you can put safety in your mind and make it stay.
Thank you, Drive Safe Dave. Coming up next, we have the great Double Check Dale Kellen on board with a little bit of road conditions and traffic, only on BCB Live,
the safest station in the nation.
Hey, good Tuesday morning to everybody. Thank you for joining the safety portion of the show on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You got Double Check Dale here. We're going to talk about some weather. Well, we're going to start with traffic, then we'll go to some weather, take a short break, and come back and talk safety. Let's look at traffic in the Dallas-Fort Worth area this morning, and there is a bunch of it going on. First thing I want to tell you is pack your patience, because just about no matter where you are going to see some slowdowns and some heavy traffic. Starting over on the Fort Worth side, that 35W normal suspect, merge point at 81, both directions, a slowdown there. Downtown area Fort Worth on 35W is major slowdown there, both directions. And then on the south side of town, 35W from Burleson all the way up into Edgecliff Village, you are going to see northbound lane, some slowdown, some very heavy traffic there, so watch that. 30 right before you get to the 820 loop. Coming into town, you're going to see some heavy traffic there, as well as once you get inside that loop, there's going to be heavy traffic heading towards that downtown area, Fort Worth. Mid-cities, North Richland Hills, Hearst, Arlington, and Dalworth Gardens. So if you're on 30, if you're on the 820, or if you're on 20 in the mid-cities, look for some very, very heavy traffic. That 30 from the 820 all the way over to 360, the eastbound lanes. Very, very heavy traffic there. 360 south of Arlington of 30, heavy traffic there going in the northbound lanes. Getting into the Dallas area, Sam Rayburn Tollway, Louisville, all the way down to Carrollton, heavy traffic there. Irving area on the 114, some really slow traffic and heavy tie-ups there. Downtown area of Dallas, inside the 635 loop, just extremely heavy traffic in there this morning, so try staying out of the downtown area. The 20 loop, although there are some issues with it, down in Duncanville, it's a little slow traffic. Merge point at 35 East, some slower traffic. The loop still looks better than trying to go through Dallas on 30. 635 all the way from the Dallas North Tollway, all the way down to the 20. You are going to see heavy traffic on the northbound lanes. And then there are certain areas up in the Richardson area between DNT and 75, both directions, heavy traffic. 30 coming in from Rockwall, heavy traffic, slowdowns there. 80, Forney, all the way into Mesquite, all the way to the 635, heavy traffic. And then 20 in the Balch Springs area right before it gets to the 635 loop, inbound, westbound, that would be very, very heavy traffic. So Dallas, Fort Worth, pack your patience this morning. Lots of heavy traffic. Slow it down. Houston is the same thing going on down there. We have a lot of heavy traffic in Houston today. Just no matter which road you're coming into Houston from, the west, 290 coming in, 10 coming in, 6 coming in, 69 from the south coming in. Very, very heavy traffic coming into the downtown areas of Houston and coming into Houston this morning. So again, same as Dallas-Fort Worth, pack your patience, slow it down, increase your distance, because there is some seriously heavy traffic with a lot of tie-ups. If we go to the north side of Houston, 45 coming into town and 69 coming into town, once they get inside that outer loop, very, very heavy traffic on the southbound lanes. And then also on the south side of Houston, 45 coming into town in South Houston, and right before it gets to that south loop east, heavy traffic there. So again, if you're in Houston, expect some delays because there's a lot of heavy traffic going on this morning. Kansas City, there's a few trouble spots in Kansas City, which is abnormal for them. First area that you're going to be aware of, North Kansas City, where 29 and 35 run together. You're going to see some slowdowns on the southbound lanes there. And then 70 out over in East Kansas City, you're going to see some slowdowns on that one right before the 435 loop. Down in Lee Summit on 350 northbound, you're going to see a slowdown there. 49 in the Belton area, a little bit of a slowdown there. And then again in Grandview, a little bit of a slowdown there. So Kansas City not as smooth as normal this morning, but overall not too bad. Again, the problem, okay, Chicago. Here we go to Chicago. A little bit of traffic going on out there. You're coming in on 90 up in that South Barrington area or Schaumburg area. Both directions, you have a slowdown there, some heavy traffic. 88 looks pretty good until you get to Downers Grove, and then there's going to be a little bit of a slowdown there where it merges with 355. Bolingbrook on 55 coming into Chicago from the south. That's where you're going to see some heavy traffic. And then once you get inside the 294 loop, all the roads there inside the 294 loop have extremely heavy traffic with tie-ups and backups and delays this morning. So again, if you're in the Chicago area, stay away from inside the 294 loop. 80 and 94 going across looks really pretty good, even over in the Indiana side. No issues there. If we go to Atlanta, if you're coming in from the west on 20, you have a slowdown all the way from Flagstone into where it merges with 285, and then where 285 goes south of 20, slowdowns there. It's mostly the northbound lane. That's going to give you some issues there. But other than that, the south side of the loop looks pretty good. That 285 loop is still your best bet to get around Atlanta. If you're on the north side of Atlanta on the 285 loop, all the way from 20, well, just about all the way around to Doraville on 285 this morning, both directions, you're going to have some issues and some tie-ups with some very heavy traffic, and you're going to see some slowdowns there. And we say this about Atlanta all the time. It's normal traffic in Atlanta, what we're looking at, so just pack your patience. Know that it's going to take you a while to get around there, especially on that 285 loop. Once you get on the east side, 285 loop, east side of Atlanta, it looks a little bit better, but there are some trouble spots, a few areas where you're going to see some slowdowns. 20 going out east of Atlanta looks pretty good. If you're coming up from the south on 75 or 85 into Atlanta, those roads look pretty good this morning. Going to Nashville, if you're coming in from the west, 40 out in that West Meade area in the eastbound lanes, you're going to see some trouble spots there. Normal areas of trouble for Nashville is going to be that East Nashville area and that 2465 merge point all the way down into, well, actually this morning it runs from the north merge point to where 24 and 40 split. So you got some really heavy traffic in the downtown area of Nashville. If you can take that 155 Briley Parkway this morning, You're probably going to save some time if you're on the east side of town. However, if you're on the 155 on the west side of town over in Jordania area, you're going to see some slowdowns on both directions there. Coming in from the south into Nashville, that 24, your backup starts down in the Stone Ridge area, all the way up into the Barclay Square, Bakertown area. So some issues there. 65, you have some slowdowns or trouble spots in the Brentwood area and the Crockett Grove area. 40 going east out of town. Actually, going out at 40, it looks pretty good. But if you're coming in into Nashville on 40 going west, Lynn Christie is your problem area. So Nashville, you got a little bit more heavy traffic than we normally see this time of morning, but if you stay on the outer loops, you're going to be a better bet than going through that East Nashville area. Washington, D.C. Oh, let's look at that 66 coming in out in the Idlewood area. Have some issues out there. 495 loop down in the Annandale area, Springfield area. Some slowdowns and tie-ups in that area. Downtown DC, lots of heavy traffic, so if you can avoid that, stay on the outer loops and you're going to be a lot better off. 495 up in that Silver Spring area, you're going to see some slowdowns both directions there. 270 coming into town from the north, up in the Clarksburg area, Urbana, some major slowdowns on the southbound lanes there. As you head up to Baltimore, looks pretty good. 95 and 295 both look pretty good going up to Baltimore this morning. 70 coming into Baltimore from the west looks good. The merge point 695 is where you're going to see the slowdowns. You're going to see some heavy traffic. And then 695 going up north, up in that Pikeville area. Both directions, some heavy traffic and some slowdowns, some tie-ups there. And then in the Townsend area on 695, you're going to see some heavy traffic, Townsend, Parkville area. So be aware of that. Just, it's the morning commute. Slow it down, pack your patience. As we go to Philadelphia. Wow, Philadelphia's got a lot of reds and orange this morning. That 476 out in the Conshohocken area where it merges with 76, you're going to see major slowdowns and tie-ups in that area. Must have something going on because all directions there, 476 and 76, some backups. When you get 76 in that downtown area of Philadelphia, all the way from Maniac all the way down into downtown Philadelphia, you have some slowdowns and heavy traffic. 95 going, 95 going north out of Philadelphia. Heavy traffic going that direction. If you're over on the if you're over on the New Jersey side, the 295 and the Jersey Turnpike going north look pretty decent this morning. And going to Indianapolis, coming in from the west, all your roads look pretty good coming in. The loop looks pretty decent until you get to the southeast corner down in that Beech Grove area. University Heights, that 74 is going to see some slowdowns and tie-ups, especially around the merge point with 65. And then if you're on the north side of Indianapolis on 465 in the North Augusta Addition area, Spring Hollow, you may see some slowdowns there. Other than that, Indianapolis looks pretty decent this morning. So with that, let's talk some weather. And man, there is a lot in the forecast, a lot that is going on right now. So let's start with the precip type and let's back it up to where we currently are and see what the weather map looks like right now. Right now, we have a lot of snow in the upper Midwest. Snow stretches from Wyoming and Colorado all the way through South Dakota. The northern two-thirds of Nebraska, western half of Iowa is getting snow right now, as is most of southern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. The rain, heavy rains are coming down from the Dallas area, almost down to the Houston area, covering most Arkansas, northern Mississippi, Tennessee. The whole Ohio River Valley is getting rain right now. But what we want to really look at is where the freezing rain is. And currently we're seeing freezing rain in that eastern third of Iowa, northeastern Iowa into southern Wisconsin. The very southern part of Chicago right now looks like, or Chicago, southern part of, or northern part of Illinois. So it's the northern part of Illinois is getting some freezing rain at the moment. And that stretches up into northern Michigan. And so those are some areas of concern. And like I said, Iowa, that eastern third is getting a lot of freezing rain. and ice pellets. And as we move that ahead, so about noon today, the freezing rain leaves Iowa and moves pretty much up into Wisconsin, just catches a little bit of the corner of Illinois. And so that starts to shift east-northeast. The rain showers intensify and pick up and expand a little bit. Now we have most of East Texas and the Gulf Coast states, Mississippi and Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, are all getting rain this afternoon. Some of those storms are very heavy storms, could have some heavy winds or some strong winds with them. So be aware of that. Find a good local radio station, stay tuned to that, and see what's going on there. As we go into the overnight hours, the upper Midwest really clears out and starts looking good. So midnight tonight, things look pretty decent across most of the United States. There is some snow out west yet in western Colorado and most of Utah. The rains are stretching from just north of Houston all the way up through Virginia. We'll see some heavy rains there. The freezing rain has moved off into Canada. But then as we start getting into tomorrow morning, if we look at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, what's predicted is freezing rain is starting in central Texas, around that Lubbock area, out to the northwest of Dallas, along that 287 corridor. So by 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, we are starting to see some freezing rain develop there. And as the day goes on, that freezing rain area just keeps expanding. And so we'll see it just north. Right now, by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, the freezing rain looks to be north of Dallas a little bit, but they'll still catch that 287 route. Most of the eastern half of Oklahoma will be seeing freezing rain or mixed precipitation tomorrow by 1 o'clock. Oklahoma City is definitely getting it. The north part of Arkansas will get his southern part of Missouri. And so that's that whole I-40 area. And then when we go into by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the freezing rain continues to expand. And so now it's still most of eastern Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, and southern Missouri. So that I-44 route will really be affected by tomorrow afternoon. A little bit of north of that, you're going to see some mixed precipitation, ice pellets, and then some snow. If we go into the midnight, about 1 o'clock, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, now we're still seeing freezing rain, a section of freezing rain in central Texas, a little area of it. Dallas looks like it may be spared at this point, but this forecast keeps changing. Oklahoma City, tomorrow morning at 1 a.m. still looks like it'll probably be getting some freezing rain, as will most of southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. And by this time, that freezing rain works itself into most of southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and catching just the very north part of Kentucky, probably the Lexington area and southern Ohio. So you can see this is a very slow-moving storm. And so we go to Thursday morning by 9 a.m., and now the freezing rain has shifted a little bit back to the south. It's all the way from Lubbock, Texas, up through central Oklahoma. Oklahoma City is still getting it, as is northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, just south of Kansas City. Kansas City will probably be picking up some snow at this time. And so as we move that forward till Thursday, 3 o'clock, Oklahoma City looks like they could still be getting some freezing rain. And now that freezing rain has shifted more up to the northeast. And so by Thursday afternoon, the St. Louis area, central Missouri, is all picking up freezing rain. To the south of that, we continue to see heavy rains and storms. To the north of that, Thursday afternoon, we're going to see some snow in most of Iowa, southern Minnesota. So just a whole lot of weather going on. So find a good radio station, tune into it, get your local forecast, know what's going on, get that situational awareness going. All right, with that, we're going to take a short break.
Good morning and welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave here, along with Double Check Dale. How are you doing this morning? Looks like we've got a little bit of weather going on up in there. Going to stir up a little bit of trouble over the next 24 to 48 hours, right?
Yep, definitely going to do that. Not that I like stirring up trouble, but it is what it is. Part of my job.
Kind of paying attention to what's happening out there and what's going on. Before we go any further, what are we talking about? What is the safety topic this week?
The safety topic this week is, let me pull that up, lane changes.
Lane changes.
Lane changes. The do's and don'ts of lane changes.
Well, why don't you tell me what the do's and the do-nots of lane changes might be?
Well, I'll just recap yesterday. Plan ahead. Especially during rush hours, get in the lanes ahead of time. So it's just really about planning, which goes to so many things when you're a professional driver, is that plan ahead. The don't tailgate. And that's what we're saying every day, is just don't tailgate. Today, one of the do's is leave more space. We talk about owning the space in front of us, owning that space. That's your out a lot of times, so leave more space. And then don't cross more than one lane at a time, because when you start crossing more than one lane at a time, there's a good chance that there could be somebody out in that blind spot that you're not catching them. And we've seen it in the videos where, they change more than one lanes and all of a sudden we're running a car. Our car is running to the shoulder because that vehicle that's changed in the lanes isn't seeing them in their blind spot. So, leave more space. Don't cross more than one lane at a time. That's your safety topic for today. Dave?
And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add one to that. Use your blinker. I mean, here's a novel idea. Use a blinker. Use a turn indicator. Let everybody know that your intention. Communicate.
Communicate, isn't that what it's about?
Communicate!
There you go. That's what it's about, communicate. So, double check, do your pre-trips in the morning, make sure those turn signals are working. Like how I got that double check in there?
Like the double check. All right, let's go to some videos. All right. We got some good space here.
Yep, but we're going to get cut off, I think.
He's squeezing in. Yep. He's squeezing in.
And do you even see the turn signal? What's our turn signal there?
When we're talking about lane changes, no communication, this guy is he's making a move right here.
He's coming over, folks.
Oh, yeah.
But good job of the driver recognizing that and starting to slow down and doing what? Creating that space, owning it in front of him.
Creating some space right here. Good job on our driver.
So,
you know what? Let's communicate out there. Oh, we got a little bit of flashing.
Yep.
Somebody's warning you that something's going on.
And there's probably an ATV or a slow-moving vehicle there. And, so that's what we're talking about, communication. That four-wheeler behind them, got those four-way flashers on early, let us know that, hey, there's some slow-moving traffic.
What is that? Is that the Adams family car? Is that what that is up there?
No, it looks like
right?
It's a Can-Am. Like one of those UTVs.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think the joke was funny.
Yeah.
Or relevant.
Yeah. Do you even know who the Adams family is?
It's probably some subpar show from the back in the day.
60s, yes.
Now, I'm probably upsetting people, so I don't want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
I'm not going to talk anymore.
And why is it subpar? It ran for many seasons.
Because now it's on like TV Land.
Yeah, that doesn't make it subpar. It just makes it no longer current.
Makes it a classic, actually.
Yeah, let's call it a classic.
It's called an antique.
Yeah, right. Even you know what? Some of the older cars that were here before you are actually very valuable. But I wouldn't say that was one of them. All right, let's move on. I digress.
Driver here's got some great situational awareness, big picture thing going on, because it took him a little while to go up, but there is a deer out in the ditch, and he's watching it, making sure, has the speed slow down. So if the deer, as they will sometimes, jump out in front of you, he has the time to stop. So just a great job with situational awareness, planning ahead a little bit.
Is that a sign or is that a real deer, you think? You think that's a real deer?
The one in the ditch?
The one that's just watching the show, they're watching the road.
Just wants to be on the show.
Just popped its head up.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, he's checking it out, making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Is this guy going to come off the road on the curve?
Yeah, so. But good job on the driver, watching ahead, seeing the obstacle and planning ahead for it, slowing down. Nice job here, speed and space management. I mean, he's watching it, he's keeping it, owning it, the whole works ahead. So just a great job here. It's fun to share videos like that when we do that. Looks ahead, sees the car that's going to make that left-hand turn, doesn't get up behind him and crowd him, leaves plenty of space there. Just great video.
That is a good video.
I think we're going to see if we're going to race a yellow light here, and there's that yellow light, and boom, we just, you know what? We talk about stale green lights. We talk about intersections being dangerous. This is examples of it. You know, we have to be prepared to slow down. That yellow light means stop, and so be prepared for it. If it's been green for a while, if it's stale, there, you know, we're way back when that light goes to yellow. It just have to stop for those, have to help make these intersections safer. And we're going to talk about following distance here. You know, this guy here in the pickup doesn't know for sure what he wants to do a little bit, and you know, we're not looking far enough ahead and seeing the big picture in this one. And so just have to, you know, be prepared, see what's going on around us, own the space in front of us, and why, you know, that space is so important to begin with, because it gives us more reaction time, even though they're, you know, probably should have reacted a little bit sooner.
Do you think the guy in the four-wheeler might have been a little nervous, the truck coming in hot in between the two trucks? You think he might have just been a tad bit nervous? I will tell you, I do like the fact that everybody's putting their flashers on, trying to communicate that there is a stoppage. Everyone is, and we need to make sure that we continue to monitor that, but you've got to control that space in front of you. The driver did use his out that he had on the right. I see that, but really it's important that you be able to stop in a timely manner, right, and be able to stop behind the vehicle. But the driver did use the out that he had in this situation.
That is it. That is it, man.
All right, that's it.
That's what we got for videos today.
I was just pointing out in the last part, you can see another truck, another BCB transport truck going the other way in that video.
Oh, did you? Let me see.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was interesting.
Yeah. Here, I'll go back for it.
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. Let's take one last look.
Let's take one last look.
Where is this, Dave? If you could tell me, based off your driving experience, do you think you could tell us the exact location in the U.S. we're at?
Well, we're in Tennessee.
Oh, that wasn't. I'm sorry, I didn't see that right.
Yes.
We're in Tennessee.
Tennessee, you think?
We're in Monterey, Tennessee, to be exact. So.
Wait, no, but I'm saying without looking at the location, you could just...
Not that one. No, there's nothing that was just stand out. Other than the plates that were running there on the four-wheelers is always a really good indication of locate what state you're in. If you have, like, most of them running Tennessee plates.
No, without plates, just to look at the
you know what, I'd have to have a sign, or I'd have to have there are times that I can spot, yes. But that one had nothing really significant to separate it, right?
No,
it really didn't.
So.
But you know what?
No landmarks.
We do have a caller. What do we got?
Got Mr. Alan Arnold. Oh, Alan Arnold.
What's up, Alan?
Morning, Alan.
Let's try that again. There you go.
What's going on, Alan?
Morning, Alan.
You there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, Mr. Dave, Mr. Dell. I got something for you here, Dave. Okay?
Okay.
Wow, it's delayed feedback, isn't it?
It might just be your connection. We actually
Can you
hear
hear
you
me?
very clear, and you're coming in fine. So
No reverb.
No reverb on our end, so it might be something on your
Okay,
end.
great. All right. Okay. Well, anyways, hey, look it. I want to get a contract with you to give you your services, okay? You know, personal services, running to the store, doing get your coffee, this and that kind of stuff, all right?
Okay.
$500 a week,
Okay.
all right? Do you think I can get a contract doing those services for you?
I don't know. It depends. We'll have to go negotiate. But to your point, sir.
Just say yes.
Yes, that sounds like a great deal.
Okay. All right. Great. Now, hey, Jack, I'm going to sell you this contract for $250 a week. I just bought it from Dave for $500. And Mr. Dave, if he doesn't give you good service, let me know, and I'll, just say something to him.
Okay.
Do you see where I'm going with that?
In a way, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you look at that way. You know what I mean? Because that's how I feel sometimes, that our customers don't get our true service. We've been talking about that.
Alan, I'll address that directly, and I appreciate the call. Look, You know, you want to provide, I truly believe that drivers out there, no matter where they are, truly want to provide the best service they can. Yep. Most of them are professional. Out there, you will find those that aren't. But no matter where, I've been in this business a long time, as you have, and really the core of the drivers is golden. Pure gold, solid gold. Their heart, their mind, their willingness to do the job, absolute solid gold. And I hope you believe that. I hope you realize that really it doesn't matter where you work or how you work or what company or outfit you run and how you run. I really truly believe that the core group of guys out there want to do the right thing, want to do the job that needs to be done and do it to the best of their abilities. I truly believe I have met the best drivers and you know what? And come across thousands in the industry that truly want to do the best. And I understand where you're getting, but I also believe that we have to entrust in business that we make good deals to make, to do well. And I think that all drivers out there want to do a great job. And sometimes you just got to tell them what you want, right? It doesn't matter who they work for or how they work or what your implications are, but sometimes you just got to tell them. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close with a real quick prayer, and we will get out of here. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you this day on Tuesday to ask for your grace in all things. Father, give us support and the ability to make great decisions today, to be kind and considerate, and to be willing to help one another. Father, we want you to bless us today with safety. Bless us with the idea of safety, with the passion of safety, to make better decisions as we go forth today. Father, we ask also that you look out and that you also protect those in the East, protect those in Europe, and keep them mindset on peace and not war. Father, we ask all these things in your name. We pray. Amen. Have a great day. Have a safe day. Be kind, guys, out there. Every day, be kind and considerate. We'll see you this afternoon.